A little bit later than scheduled, however, we are now here with day 2 of week 2, and it's a European edition. We're going to start things off today totally with Dignitas up against Cyclone.
It's going to be a little bit of interesting matchup. CycloneGG struggling a little early on, only able to find a split against Fantastic. They didn't win against Paradigm, who's been looking really solid. However, on the flip side, Dignitas, they found a 2-0 clean victory against Leftovers.
They did indeed, and that's an important one for them to find that 2-0 against Leftovers. Lost to Energy, formerly known as Panthera, as well after the second week. So Dignitas and Cyclone both with a point to prove this game round.
And it's going to be dependent, I would say, on the duo lane between these two teams. CycloneGG being led by Kalis, having a lot of leadership and experience, I would say, in such a short amount of time. Whereas Dignitas, BigManTingz, and Suntouch. Suntouch has been playing a lot of magical hunters. We're going to see if that's something that ShadowNightmare wants to keep doing with playing physical hunters there to allow Suntouch to play those magical hunters.
And it seemed that was the plan from them as well against Energy, because they did run those hunters in the mid lane there, Jingwei and as well Anher there, but it didn't seem to work out for the boys of Dignitas last time round. We'll see if it does this time up against Cyclone if they choose to go that route. Obviously, Cyclone entered the league, you know, from the relegation zone here, fought against Fantastic week 1, got the split there, but then walked into their first opposition in Paradigm. But this one's a bit of an interesting composition to fight up against Dignitas, a mid-table team versus a relegation team.
This is the greatest matchup that CycloneGG can ask for this early in the split, just to try to prove themselves moving forward. CycloneGG currently with 1 point after their split, Dignitas with 3. They're still relatively close together. If CycloneGG come out with a 2-0, they'll be ahead of Dignitas with 4-3.
We'll see exactly how this plays out. CycloneGG will be first ban this time round. Cyclone focused a lot on Susano so far. They've got 3 picks of that to their name out of the 4 games they've played, so it wouldn't be a surprise to see them go back to that. But more interestingly enough is Ymir, out of the 4 games they've played, has been picked twice in the solo lane for Deathwalker.
Deathwalker really leans heavily on his Guardians, whether it's Ymir, the Xing Chen. He likes that kind of control style in those mid to late game teamfights. He just has to be careful about surviving the early game, because Warriors and Assassins can really exploit the early matchup and then look for the invades.
Well, Fafnir, Ao Kuang are expecting a Nemesis ban somewhere along here as well between these two teams. And there it is for Cyclone, so it's back over to Dignitas, and they've got kind of a flexy sort of option in terms of where they want to ban here now.
And with this Nemesis Ao Kuang, it's typically very standard, but it would be more standard to see it on the second pick. You want to be able to first pick these kinds of junglers, but it seems that iceicebabyy, he's more content with a different style. With Susano being banned, they're going to opt again for this Anher, possibly mid.
Very, very interesting flex between the two. Obviously, this is CycloneGG this time round. Anher picked up twice by them and 3 times so far by Dignitas. And that Susano ban from Dignitas, well, it was kind of expected when you've seen it on both the rosters. And Dignitas here going to draft Ymir as their first pick.
It seems more of a counter pick away from Deathwalker, not allowing him to have that kind of a style. More comfortability, you're stripping that away, and with a Fenrir. So the Ymir, it could be a flex pick, it could be support, it could be solo lane, depending on the matchup. Fenrir is pretty solid in general jungle.
And that's the thing with the Fenrir pick there as well. I'm pretty surprised to see that so early. With the Ymir, FrostiaK in the past has run that in the jungle as well, the Ymir, so they could have left it as a flex option, made them second guess a little bit as to where that Ymir was going to go.
Trying to go for a really aggressive play now. You grouped up in the mid lane with the Fenrir. You're looking for those early purifications, because you don't have to commit with the Ragnarok all the time. As long as you have your 5 stacks on your runes, you're going to find the stun, and there's always the immediate threat of the Ragnarok.
Well, Rama starting to rise to fame here over in Europe as well as North America, especially after the nurse to Hou-Yi this week. We've seen a little bit more of him and a little bit more of Jingwei, which started last week as well. But Rama could be in the Hunter role, could be in the mid lane this time round.
We've seen Snoopy played in mid, we've seen Heroin played in mid to great success, even with a pentakill to start off the SPL split. Really impressive play by Snoopy, and this is why Rama, the late game form, even though you struggle early on, as long as you make it to the late game, that's what it's all about.
Well, Freya banned out by Dignitas kind of shows me that maybe they're not actually looking for the physical hunter in the mid lane, but instead it'll be going over to Suntouch that, especially with the Freya ban there. He could go Kronos as well. That's the only 2 gods we've seen him play so far this split.
Soul is available. He hasn't played Soul. It is an option. It's going to be the Zeus locked in, so more than likely it is going to be your standard mage in the mid role. Rama going to go in the duo. We don't know where their solo or support is, if that Ymir is going to fill which role.
It's a good point. We'll find out as the last pick comes through. But Raven for the solo lane in there of Cyclone. Deathwalker this time around going to pick up something a little bit more standard out of him this time. Seen a lot of Guardians so far. And the final pick for Cyclone here needs to be their mid laner. And Raijin gets all the way deep down there in terms of picks. That's quite crazy.
It's nice to have this kind of long range setup with the ultimate or just throwing out the Raishas for damage, followed up with the Thor. You have the double setup between the Thor. And on top of this, the Bacchus in the 3v3 matchup between CycloneGG and Dignitas. Dignitas, it's already looking like easier setup potential for Cyclone.
Now the question is it Ymir solo or Fenrir solo now? Because Ymir has been locked in with that Ares, definitely in the support role this time around for BigManTingz. Kind of gives a bit of a flex option to that Ymir still. More than likely solo I'm expecting here up against the Raven.
Yeah, you don't want to put Ares in solo lane unless you're against a Hercules or a Tyr where you shut down their clear.
We'll see how this one works out for him, because Dignitas drafting out Ymir, the Fenrir. A lot of control on this team and amazing amounts of damage as well coming from all sources, especially in the early stages of the game.
Teams are grouped up, trying to get the wards. The Ares is making a rotation mid. Wanted to spot that ward around the bottom left Harpies, but instantly gets spotted out. Has to delay the process.
Interesting start coming out from BigManTingz so far. Only picks up Boots 1 just to get himself out of beta a little bit quicker here on that Ares. Will be heading back to base more than likely for the Watcher's Gift, however, unless he goes for some shenanigans here. Neither of the supports with relics even. Cyclone hunting for a pick here.
It's going to be a 4-on-4 because both supports did back, but it looks like neither team really wanting to commit. Looking at the Guardians to see what relics they pick up. I like the fact that they didn't pick up their relics off the bat. They saw each other on the mini-map. Neither of them committed right off the bat. BigManTingz going very aggressive with the blink, whereas Callus going for the more safer shell option.
Yeah, you got a couple of opportunities there as well. You've got to be a little bit careful on this Bacchus as well. Like, up against the Ares, the chains will limit your flop. At the same time as you can't actually flop onto an Ares if you use a Serum Flesh. Not only that though, the no escape. It's always going to pull the fat man in if you don't take Purification.
Sometimes you want to get Purification. Other times, getting the shell is not a bad idea to counteract. You want to get pulled, but you want to take as less damage as possible to allow the rest of your team to clean up. So shell is a perfect situation for Callus.
Almost an opportunity there for Callus there to actually follow up a BigManTingz ultimate by engaging himself straight afterwards with that shell as we were mentioning. So no invade from either team here. Plenty of wall coverage from both. Just keep an eye on the junglers, iceicebabyy and FrostiaK on the Fenrir here, and just seeing how quickly they get through the first two camps.
Wlfy going to be playing the Raijin against Zeus's ShadowNightmare. So a lot of rotations are going to be happening between FrostiaK and iceicebabyy. It's going to a lot of damage between these two mid laners.
And we actually look at the composition between the two here. We've got the Thor and Raijin up against obviously the Fenrir and the Zeus as well. Who's got kind of lane control? It's kind of even, right?
I would be more about the Thor because of the long range setup with the Tectonic Rift. You don't really have to commit to an engagement, as well as the double tap just doing a lot of damage. You don't always have to teleport to follow with Berserker Barrage.
This rotation here, looking to steal away one of those creeps. I'm not sure if Suntouch did. I think he may have actually done so. Just stole away one of those creeps at those left-hand Harpies with a very quick rotation.
But now they're going to be a little late to the lane. It's going to be NBK and Callus able to clear. A lot of gold is going to be denied to Dignitas if CycloneGG keep playing at the tower line.
Well, Dignitas did push in mid-wave as well. Now they're going to invade the back Harpies on this right-hand side here. And ShadowNightmare will soak the experience with FrostiaK as well. So good work from them. And Cyclone just a little bit too late there. They may catch him on the rotation back to mid, however.
Really clean. Dignitas gonna try to go back to the mid wave in the soul lane. A little bit of a poke. Ducky getting pushed out under his tower, and this is what Robin wants to do, and this is why Ducky elected to go for Mark of the Vanguard.
Get some reduced damage on that overall, especially from the minions too, because you're going to end up poking him. But flop on the left-hand side onto Tingz, coming out from Callus there. Chain just a little bit off the mark. This is exactly what you'd kind of expect in this lane anyway, in the duo side. Obviously, and her back should definitely have better clear than the Ares and Rama early on. And I think that's why we saw Dignitas rotate to the left-hand Harpies there, just for bonus experience, knowing they were not going to get push power.
They know when they can play aggressive and when they can't. They have to rely on those chains for the aggression. And because CycloneGG saw the fact that FrostiaK and ShadowNightmare went for the back right Harpies, this is why the dual lane is aggressing under the tower. They wouldn't do so otherwise.
Chain's pretty good then. Suntouch getting some nice poke out as well. Has Death's Toll working on Devour's Gauntlets as well alongside that. Meanwhile, VoteNBK here going for the Transcendence option. So two different builds from the Hunters.
And now this time around, a nice MIA call coming from CycloneGG, and this is why Callus and NBK are backing off. They didn't see where the Fenrir was on the minimap up until now. Seeing them in mid can be aggressive if they choose to.
Got to be respectful of where the rotations are coming from and just keep an eye on vision at all times. Cyclone going to go into the right-hand jungle here with Wlfy and iceicebabyy, and Thor does have his ultimate available, but they're looking mainly for the fire elementals.
Right now, they're trying to get Thor to level 5 before he can make an initial gank on either side lane. It's going to be a little difficult trying to lock down the Fenrir that does have double crowd control immunity between his Purification and the Ragnarok.
So pretty standard start coming out. Surprised not seeing any aggression from the junglers just yet though, Totally. Both level 5 right about now. They've just about done their first trip back to base, however, so maybe we'll see something now.
They were waiting for the Warrior Tabby to complete before they go for the gank. big, because having that extra physical power for both of these gods, they have so much base damage and a decent amount of scaling on top, so you want to have that big important power spike on top of the mobility before you commit to a gank.
I'd say Thor's a little bit more likely to get a kill onto Zeus this time around than Raijin is going to get killed by the Fenrir, just because of the ultimate, giving City immunity away from being picked up by Ragnarok as well. We could see a bit of an interesting one there, but over on the left-hand side, Cyclone's dual lane and VoteNBK and Callus going to combine to soak up the red buff.
And the key factor between these mid laners is their escape. Zeus doesn't have a natural escape, could get easily pinned against a wall by the Tectonic Rift, and this could set up Wlfy for a lot of follow-up damage, whereas Wlfy can just disengage with his Thunder Crash if he gets ganked.
Blue buffs drop down on either side, and you see the rotation out of ShadowNightmare there from the mid lane as well. There's nothing for him to do. Make sure he helps defend that blue buff just in case, but also soak a bit more experience for himself.
And that's what you want to do to alleviate some pressure for your Guardian in the solo lane. Early on, struggles a little bit, but it is a Ymir can kind of hold his own, especially with Magai's boots finished.
In the jungle, though, keep an eye on iceicebabyy on that Thor. He's over the wall right now, and obviously Callus is now joined in. First support to really meet the mid-wave for the time being here, and Cyclone have his advantage in pressure there.
iceicebabyy maxing out the Berserker Barrage, because the only thing that can stop it in the 2v2 is a Fenrir jump or the Ragnarok. So as long as those two are on cooldown, that Berserker Barrage is going to hit really hard, and that also allows iceicebabyy to make a teleport play with a hammer, and then finding a nice stun onto ShadowNightmare, which could set up Wlfy.
And you can actually see what iceicebabyy did near the Wlfy. Then he sort of stepped around there just to see if Suntouch was reacting to it or repositioning or anything, just try and work out if there was a ward on that side. Unfortunately, though, VoteNBK wasn't in a position, wanted to go back and get his Transcendence, so there's no gank there, so just going to continue farming up, getting as much experience as you can. That's what you really need to do as a jungler.
Aggression in the solo lane jungle. There are 4 members from Dignitas looking for the counter rotation, but really great wards from both teams around the Fire Giant pit. Obviously, you want to spot out the Thor Global, so you put it inside the Fire Giant pit, but then that underneath ward by CycloneGG really shutting down this aggression.
Yeah, very respectful from both teams so far. 5 minutes in, still no real aggression. The player damage is pretty low between these two teams, I want to say, because not much has gone on. Obviously, it's solo. Actually, player damage is awful. 800? That's ridiculous.
It's really hard to poke out either of these two. You want to be able to clear the wave. This is the spot where the damage is going to start increasing, because now they're going to clear the wave in one shot, and they have so much time to be bullies, just like that Deathwalker taking much more damage than Ducky.
You've got to be very careful in this lane as well, because ult for ult trades are going to definitely go on between the two of them. Ducky will have advantage there, Deathwalker more than likely. He can outplay, though, by ulting in place if he can time it perfectly and potentially turn it around, but it's not an easy task to do.
Not at all, and this is the point where the Ymir is going to start chunking away at the Robin. You're level 9, you maxed out your Ice Carpet. It's an 8-second cooldown. The base damage is somewhere around 350 to 70, and this Robin can't really keep up with the sustain because he's maxing out his first ability instead of his heal.
Well, Dignitas there at the Wlfy. We're set up for a bait, but you could clearly be seen by VoteNBK, who told them they weren't doing Wlfy yet. There's no reason to go aggressive, so iceicebabyy holds the ultimate still this time round. Still, both jugglers not been involved yet. There's the first bit of damage from Thor, though, but it also cost him his purification.
And that's going to allow BigManTingz to possibly find a pull, which is going to force out the ultimate from iceice anyway, but then now FrostiaK will look for it immediately after.
Looking for aggression on Ducky, good Intoxicate, but his team not with him yet. Drums up wall from Wlfy, through the wall, gets some good poke off onto ShadowNightmare mainly, and now Wlfy's coming in too, looking for the pickup and get first blood on ShadowNightmare. Now Ducky's in trouble, gets picked up, and they pulled in by BigManTingz, but I don't think you want to take a 4-on-2.
Thunder Crash not available, Wlfy getting picked off by FrostiaK, immediately Callus jumping on, but iceicebabyy trying to help out Deathwalker. Overall, it's been a 4-for-1 because Suntouch also got soloed.
Yeah, there was the fight in the dual lane going on at the same time there, and nice little pickup from VoteNBK using the Transcendence, and that nice little power spike that comes with it. Recognized it, gets himself a kill, steals away the boars as well. Nice advantage for Cyclone all the way through.
And CycloneGG first picking on her, already showing why they lean on it because of the fact that we saw ShadowNightmare play it before on her mid, so it's a little bit of a strategy where they're trying to win the 1v1 and duo, and they're stripping it away from the mid of Cyclone.
I will say Cyclone, though, in that fight, they could have got a deicide at that stage of the game, but we saw iceicebabyy change his mind, help out his solo laner. If he would have stuck with Callus, it would have been a deicide. They could look back at that and realize, you know, we've still got room for improvement here, but it was a fantastic start.
It's a great start. You kill 4 for only losing 1. The boars were stripped away from Suntouch. There wasn't much else stripped away from Dignitas, but that doesn't really matter because this early on, it's a good enough experience to just squeezing in one extra wave in all your lanes.
Well, as we tune in with the balls on the left-hand side, the speed was stolen as well on the right-hand side of things by iceicebabyy there. So they got the speed and the balls and 4 kills. Fantastic play from them. Now, because of that, iceicebabyy can head back to base. And overall, I mean, it was generally aggression that from iceicebabyy against Ducky that really initiated that, and then the rotations from the mid laners just really made that happen.
Having to use the purification and then using the ult aggressively, he got pulled back in by BigManTingz, and this is where things were looking decent for Dignitas, but just the damage. Wlfy overcommitted, thunder crashing. He didn't have an escape afterwards, immediately falling.
Yeah, ShadowNightmare took a lot of brunt of the damage coming out from Wlfy there on the Raijin, getting hit by the 3 channels of that ultimate, which really impacted him and just allowed him to fall down. Nobody was able to support for now. So for the time being, I think we're just going to see a farm off one more time here. I don't think we'll see Dignitas looking for any aggression in time, but hopefully from Cyclone, though, we may see him try and step it up a little bit now with this small lead.
It's all about BigManTingz trying to look for that aggressive blink initiation, forcing the purifications down on CycloneGG, and then following it up.
Well, he's only level 8 right now, and level 9 against his opponent, Callus here, which is still fine, but working on his build for now. Trying to defend the Gold Fury is the big point here for Dignitas. However, you can see that ward at that red buff is giving away 3 members' positions here.
And only being level 8 for BigManTingz, having reinforced greaves doesn't finish off a secondary defense item quite yet. Makes him very easy to lock down. The damage coming from CycloneGG, Wlfy, and iceicebabyy should be able to burst him even before he finishes no escape.
It's true. Well, so for now, iceicebabyy and the boys of Cyclone are going to head back to the back harpies here. Just continue farming things up. Builds are coming along nice and steadily for both teams as we're approaching the 3rd item in the game.
In the duo lane, there's a little bit of a gank between both supports, waiting for either Hunter to overstep. Guardians spot each other out, makes the call, and now Hunter's gonna be pressured out. CycloneGG Callus making the rotation.
And you gotta be very careful about that. If you both spot each other out supports, he's kind of gonna be over there. You're not gonna still go in for the gank in case one turns it around there. And at the moment, Suntouch gonna play a little bit more defensively. I expect after being picked off by VoteNBK in that solo kill over in the duo side of things. I mean, that was a big impact there. Rama versus Anherd, that's kind of what should happen in the early stages. Anherd definitely has kill potential.
He has more base damage with his, as long as he can land the Impale, the Desert Fury, and Suntouch, he can only buy time really with his ultimate. It's a lot easier to juke out the Rama snipes, I would say, than a majority of that on her damage, especially if you're going to get slowed by that on her obelisk, and if you get out pressured, you have to retreat to your towers. So the Desert Fury cuts off a lot of your escape opportunities.
Well, Khal's going to hang on this corner, but he steps on a ward here, but he still go Cyclone's way in terms of these right-hand harpies. Left one's due to spawn soon after. Fallow Elementals stop spawning at 10 minutes, so we won't see any more of those this game.
Speed buff being started by CycloneGG at the 10.5 point. They want to try to force more aggression, but they're just more content with farming and waiting for more power spikes. Maybe it could be an option for NBK. He is a level ahead of Suntouch. He could potentially finish off the Aussie first.
And that power spike of that second relic may come in handy at that level 12 too, and we'll see if Cyclone look to exploit that one. You mentioned, you know, they should be looking, you said they are looking for kills here. Should they be looking for more pressure now? I mean, it doesn't look like they are, though.
I mean, they're being very patient with their wards. They saw an opportunity to maybe have Callus flank from the right side mid harpies into mid, but a great counter ward from Dignitas prevented it immediately. So they're still looking for it, but they're waiting for the right opportunity. They're not forcing it.
They're not forcing it, just sat back and waiting, and just allowing Dignitas to farm up as well for the time being. Looks like a Warlock Sash coming online for ShadowNightmare on the Zeus in mid lane. I think after the last little engagement, he decided to go for the extra healthy option here.
As long as you can survive the initial burst from the Thor combination with the Raijin ultimate from a distance, then you're going to put yourself in a good spot to continue on to the chain lightning detonates.
Still very surprised by the lack of action and aggression since only that first little skirmish that we had where we saw 5 kills, and it's kind of been slow paced between the two teams. No one really going for aggression whatsoever. We've not seen Ares go in. We've seen one Thor all game, and you can see even though iceicebabyy, you know, he's 0-0-2 this game, well, he's only at 600 player damage.
Which is fine for both teams to be this way because it's all about the calculated aggression. They're still positioning themselves around their wards, looking at the warding spots, the sentry ward on the top side of the Gold Fury and the top left for Dignitas. That's how you know they're playing passive. It just fizzled on the top left, and they want to wait for Cyclone to overstep, but they're not baiting. They're not biting. They're
not biting at all. They just sat back and waiting quite happily for themselves as well between this one. VoteNBK on the left-hand side, though, we did see iceicebabyy go for a gank there. Ultimate was used, and Suntouch escaped, but it cost him his purification for now. That's a nice little early sign that they can go for that pressure again.
Suntouch is going to back. That's going to allow NBK to squeeze in one wave. Could potentially look for a Gold Fury bait fight and exploit that purification that's down.
Well, iceicebabyy in the mid lane may try and catch a rotation out of Callus there, but I'm going to find it. It's our BigManTingz, I should say, on the Ares. Instead, going to head back to base, but it was good to see him actually go for some pressure here on this left-hand side.
Ice looking for pressure. I like this because his hammer's now maxed out. Initially was maxing out the Berserker Barrage, trying to commit to kills, but now with the hammer, he can look for these jungle little corners, wait for somebody to rotate, even if it's going to be FrostiaK, who's building a little tanky with a Void Shield.
World War still happening around the Wlfy for the time being, and Dignitas won't allow it to go the same way as the last fight did if they can help it, especially with the Wlfy being definitely a threat now, and with a little bit more gold as the game goes on.
Neither team picking up the Raft. They'd rather have these team fight relics, the blinks from both the solo and the support, so leaning more towards the damage side.
Now we see a build coming out from Suntouch here that we don't see too often. He's going Transcendence after picking up his boots as well, so double stacking this game. And I'm not sure if this is going to be a standard sort of build. Maybe it's just because of the pace of how this game's gone, totally, that he feels he can farm up even more for late game.
He was talking about this a long time ago in his stream when he used to play Hunters consistently in ranked, and he was saying how he always feels that when he's playing Rama that he's out of mana consistently with the arrows. This allows him to be very spam-oriented with those arrows, not have to worry about disengaging with the roll after the ultimate, because his ultimate costs a lot of mana.
But at the same time, his build also instigates the fact that his spikes in power are kind of jagged. They're not as smooth as most of the Hunters like to go for here for this constant ramp. It's some very jagged steps of boost, take a long time, boost again. Aggression here onto BigManTingz. Going to answer back on Callus. He's going to get pulled for a merry ride. The shell is popped, but there's still full combo with him here. Wlfy with the drums are going to help him escape, and for some reason, he's still out. However, Suntouch looking for the snipe through the wall. It's very difficult to see. Callus will live. One more shot's all he needs. He rolls in. Not going to find it.
He rolled in, not getting countered. iceicebabyy decided to ulti in mid, zone out the rest of Dignitas, and I like the play that Dignitas had in mind. There was all 5 members positioned to go for that kill, but that's why you go shell right off the bat.
You invested everything there, Tolly. All your ultimates, apart from Ymir's, was wasted there, and now because of that, well, they're going to get the Wlfy for free, Cyclone. They recognize Dignitas got him, not impatient, I want to say they're looking for a pick, but the amount they invested cost them big.
They felt that they needed to do something in the lull of action. They decided to commit onto Callus, and as a result, getting capitalized with the Gold Fury, and such a clean disengage by Cyclone, using that Tectonic Rift over the right side mid-Harpies, even not seeing anybody, and then hammering away, and just didn't want any action.
And not only that, Wlfy's ultimate through the wall there, just to help out his teammate who was in a lot of trouble. That actually bought enough time for Callus to get out there with that flop, and actually be able to just hug the wall, so Suntouch could not find those snipes.
And now Cyclone getting that first Gold Fury with a decent lead, considering there's only been one at 3,500 going at the 15-minute mark. It's not that big of a lead where you can, force tier 1 towers, because you still have to be patient enough and look for these picks.
Well, you may have a bit of focus put onto him now this time round, and after the Gold Fury's gone down. And it's a possibility we could have seen this a little bit earlier coming out from Cyclone as well. I guess the Gold Fury being a threat here, totally, but Ymir's very easy to be killed over in this lane if he overextends.
He does have a lot of counter kill potential with his ultimate, so if the Ymir knows that the Thor is coming, he can preemptively use his own ultimate to prevent the stun from Thor, forcing the disengage, because nobody wants to eat a fully charged Ymir ultimate.
Never at all, especially even if he's not going raw damage as well, which he isn't. He's gone for the Wingblade pickup here and the Breastplate of Valor as well, just giving him a little bit more tankiness and survivability.
I like this option because of the survivability. The mobility is on top of this. You're trying to chase down any target in the backline that might have escaped from you. Now, this is going to prevent also Wlfy from thunder crashing aggressively, because you're going to have to worry about the blink engage from Ducky.
And Deathwalker here. Well, his builds start off with a bit of magical defense here, especially to deal with Ducky, but also building it into some tankiness here with the Nemenian Lion, it seems.
Deathwalker just waiting for the rotation. He's going to spot it out. This is what you have to do in solo lane after you clear a wave. You might as well just hide in the jungle, see what's going on. You call out the rotations. You see that Ducky went towards the speed buff, and now this is going to allow you to clear the wave first and then possibly make the rotation for a mid-lane fight.
Comfortable laning phase for Deathwalker this time round as well. He's one of the members that I've been looking at extremely well to see how he does in the Pro League, because solo lane in Europe is not an easy task to actually have to deal with. A lot of big names over there. Same can be said, actually, for the Hunter position of VoteNBK and Suntouch out.
A little bit of an engage by FrostiaK, looking for poke, but not worried about this stun from Callus, just going to walk away.
Well, with the detonate going on cooldown, the Harpies went down as well. Unfortunately, Callus decides not to initiate there, so it's back to farming a little bit more between these two teams. Red buff is being pulled, but taken out as well, and nobody really knows what's going on.
Something that I just noticed was the fact that there's a shell that was picked up by FrostiaK, and that same thing for BigManTingz. I'm not sure if that's a little bit of a miscommunication, or not, but there's no sprint or meditation.
Well, the gank for Suntouch is on, and iceicebabyy unfortunately misses everything. Callus over the wall with the flop, not going to find the mark either. The stun connects, and Suntouch under a lot of pressure, forced to ult, but he should be fine. The rotation from FrostiaK is on its way, however, on the Fenrir. He's got speed buff, but the pillar will slow him down too much.
There's no way FrostiaK would commit 1-on-3. The rotations from the rest of his team were just too far away. Wlfy still down for another 2 minutes. Red buff has respawned for Cyclone. This could be an opportunity for BigManTingz to look for a nice blink engage. We haven't really seen him utilize a multi-target ultimate quite yet.
So far. I know this focus on Suntouch is what we're seeing as well, seems to be from iceicebabyy, and he's actually focused him a couple of times this game. Sanctuary is down, as is the Purification now. And with Rama's ult now being on cooldown as well, they could look for even more pressure.
There needs to be a lot of words from Dignitas around the dual lane to make sure Suntouch's relic window doesn't get exploited by CycloneGG. You have to protect your Hunter, but it doesn't look like anyone from Dignitas are here to defend this tier 1 on the left.
At all, but immediately the rotation is called, so there's action on the right-hand side and left at the same time. Ducky under pressure from Deathwalker. No escape in the jungle from Callus. Going to pull in. So onto Callus, and there the Ragnarok to follow it up too. We will see Bacchus fall down here, but over the wall comes iceicebabyy for a second. Doesn't find the double tap though. Wlfy looking to try and clean up FrostiaK, who jumps out, and Baby takes to the sky.
NBK with a nice rotation. ShadowNightmare is going to get focused by iceice. We have a teleport coming from Deathwalker with 4 members from CycloneGG making this rotation. Tier 1 tower should get pressured.
Deathwalker going to ult in over the wall there, looking to pressure out BigManTingz a bit more. Wall on the mark too, as is the double tap. They're looking for the Berserker Barrage to clean this one up, and it should be enough. Baby gets the kill. Ducky turns up, trying to force them back out. As Suntouch rotates in, forced back under his tower by Wlfy.
And this is the difference between Cyclone and Dignitas. It's so much easier for them to find the kill onto BigManTingz, whereas Dignitas has to commit too much to find the kill onto Callus.
Snipes pretty much on the mark there, just the last one missing his target. As now FrostiaK comes back, and VoteNBK recognizes that wall behind him just in time, leaps away from the danger.
So 4-on-3 for Cyclone. I'm surprised they're not electing to push down this mid tower. They're afraid of this damage from Ymir. He is very healthy. He has a lot of control between his sustain, but the fact that Wlfy was a little low, they elected to play it safe. Wlfy respawned though.
Very interesting fight, that one, though, totally overall, because we saw the pressure in dual lane at the same time as Deathwalker pokes out Ducky, forcing him back to base. Deathwalker then teleports to this team fight to give an advantage to Cyclone. However, I say that, but this Wlfy, as you said, is being looked at. VoteNBK recognizes it. Callus on the way too. Dignitas will reset.
Has to reset. Callus is a big enough threat with the Intoxicate. There's not that much confirm on the side of Dignitas, with the exception of Ducky's ultimate, but he is not there quite yet to secure it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens now, because the Wlfy has been pulled by Cyclone. Callus around the corner, the right-hand harpies. Wlfy going to meet Ducky there, as is Deathwalker, and the focus on Ymir for a second there, but a good wall will slow some of that burst damage down for a second or two. Both teams still eyeing up this Wlfy.
This is fine for Dignitas because Ducky still has his teleport. He can eat this little bit of poke, allow some cooldowns, but there has to be a response. You can't just eat that poke and not dish out anything in return.
It's still grouped up, and then Wlfy has been pulled again, this time around by Cyclone Spin. Split from Dignitas from 2 options here. Tank from the left-hand side, tank from the right. And Callus got to pick an option, going to get frozen in place. And Ducky, well, he's going to be frozen in place too, forced to Ullr, but he may fall down very quickly to Callus, who gets the kill with Intoxicate. Meanwhile, at the back of things, you saw FrostiaK going in very deep, but he's very low now. And Baby going to look for the escape exit of the Fenrir. He needs to find the dunk, and he will find it, cutting off the option and find himself a kill.
Beautiful patience from iceice. Nice little pull from BigMan, finding NBK. At least it's going to be a 2-for-2 quite yet, but the chains onto Wlfy. Meanwhile, Deathwalker in the back, finally joined by iceicebabyy. Beautiful Berserker Barrage, finding 2.
And Deathwalker is still alive from that fight too. Great work from him on the backside of things, keeping them all busy, juking it out to allow his team to look for the deicide, and a couple more hits should do it. Deicide the way of Cyclone. They are turning up this game, Tolly.
And that's why you want to be able to focus Ducky down during his ultimate. It was a nice, patient ultimate from Wlfy. He used it in anticipation that Ducky was not going to move. He got the first 2 hits off brilliantly. The third one missed, but the fourth one connected. And not having that much magic defense, not having Voidstone finished, really hurts Ducky.
It'll take him a while to do this Wlfy with these 3 characters, but they will bring it down for themselves as well. They don't actually manage to get anything else out of this, but a 5k goal lead before the Wlfy, and it's now 7.3k. Well, it's a good start for 21 minutes. But I say start, but it's 21 minutes in, Tolly.
Yeah, and the experience on top of this is going to be Wlfy, that's level 17, having that important power spike, level 4 ultimate, compared to ShadowNightmare, that's 2 levels behind currently, as well as the Dignitas jungler FrostiaK, 2 levels behind iceicebabyy.
Yeah, the front line there from Dignitas at the bottom of the charts there. And Zeus and Suntouch, though, on the ROM are doing a good job of actually trying to keep pace with how Cyclone are doing. But at the end of the day, it's still not working out for the boys of Dignitas this game.
And more importantly, it's all about the patience from CycloneGG. They didn't want to commit too heavily throughout the whole game. Even after that nice team fight for them where they were up 4-1 on the score chart, they didn't commit. And then in that last team fight, we saw iceicebabyy iceicebabyy hold his ultimate till the very last second just to confirm onto FrostiaK.
A little bit of a danger thing for Cyclone then, because at the moment, if they just take these small wins and are getting advantages here, as this team grows into the season, there's potential that those small wins, they'll realize they can get a little bit more out of every single time. It could be a real threat of a team, this.
This is just something that they're very content with for this game. Maybe it might not be for every game against every team, but against Dignitas, they want to make sure that they get every little calculating play. They were able to steal the boards and the speed after the 4-1. They were content with just farming, getting extra waves. And now, after that Gold Fury, now they're content with starting to group up to force this tier 1 mid.
Well, they're trying to pressure at the moment, but no minion wave with them, so they will farm out the creeps for now. And the big thing about Cyclone here as well, take into account they're a relegation team, and all these teams that come into the Pro League or are establishing the team, you have different stages of being a team in the Pro League. Sometimes you're looking at being the one that is top of the leaderboard, sometimes you're looking for a mid-table team. Well, that's exactly what these guys should be looking at, is trying to get themselves established in the league after coming up from relegations, and then maybe trying to take games off teams like Dignitas.
Sometimes newer teams will try to do something too fancy, but the composition out of Cyclone is pretty safe and standard, as well as their game plan going forward. It's very clean cut, dry, nothing too crazy. They didn't do invades, they didn't try to go for, tier 2 tower or anything like this. Yep. They're just very safe and standard, which is impressive for a newer team.
Very impressive indeed. Now the minion wave in Cyclone's mid lane does go in, but there's Callus with the good ultimate onto 4 targets here. Shell popped as well, and the damage from Zeus is there, but in the sky is Thor now looking to potentially go to the back line here. Not sure which target he's going to really choose to go on. Instead, it was actually on FrostiaK who was trying to flank round, and a one-man pickup and a tower. Cyclone on the march.
And Callus trying to set up a little more belly flop, not on the mark. Nice little roll from Suntouch. Very content with continuing to push. It's BigManTingz that has to back off. He doesn't have the engage with his Blink ultimate, which hurts a lot of potential from Ares, whereas Callus on this Bacchus is still very useful, even without Intoxicate.
I like the idea from Cyclone there, just to give it up on that mid lane. They were going to be able to pressure a tier 2 tower after using all the ultimates for the tier 1, but another net win. They can look at the speed buff though, and that's going to actually force BigManTingz into an awkward spot.
Oh, I thought he was caught against the wall for a quick second, but either way, the rotation from Cyclone is 4 members grouped up. Ducky gonna get slowed, but nice wall preventing the impale.
Yeah, VoteNBK chose to go for speed buff there. If he went straight away there onto Ducky, I think they may have actually been able to find and force something out of the Ymir, but instead they'll get the speed buff and walk away.
But it's definitely easier to kill this level 14 Ares, especially if you could pin him against the wall. That was just a micrometer away from being able to pin him against the wall, where CycloneGG could easily collapse on this immobile target.
Patient game for Cyclone, but they've definitely come up trumps every single team fight so far in this game. Dignitas has to kind of answer back with a kill or two here and then. You can see that with where the kills have gone to, but Suntouch looking for the tier 1 on the left will get it, but now pressured by Raijin and Thor.
It's not really worth sacrificing your life for a tier 1 tower, but if he forced the purification just to disengage, it's going to keep his tier 2 tower alive. Because now Dignitas, they're starting the Fire Giant on the right, but it gets spotted by NBK.
And that isn't going to be able to do any more than that. Suntouch not being with them either makes it very, very difficult for them to bring down, especially with the 2 tanks of Ares and Ymir in your team. You're not going to have enough burst to really chunk it down in time, but they did get a response from Cyclone.
Dignitas were hoping that there was going to be an overcommittal for Suntouch on the left to go for the tier 2 after bullying out Suntouch, which would have gave Dignitas a big enough window to sneak this Fire Giant. So I still like the mindset. You're behind this much, you go for the fire, you don't really overcommit because you can disengage anyway, so the nice mindset.
We're starting to hit 6-item builds for most players here, especially solo laner. In terms of Deathwalker here, see the Witchblade online, the Medjai's Blessing as well. Very interesting comp of build that he's actually picked up here.
And Fire Giant going to get started by NBK, disengaging. It's a little bit of a bait because there's just content with farming in the mid lane. iceicebabyy pushing the wave while Wlfy grabbing his own red. You have to make sure that your mid mage at level 20 always has red.
And there is a power play one more time for Cyclone here, and the reason for the power play is because Rama's purification are on cooldown. Suntouch doesn't have them after that pressure on the left-hand side here, Toli. Now that pressure, it gives an opportunity here for Cyclone to go aggressive on him again, initiate the fight off that.
And they always seem to be looking for that purification play. Whether or not they commit to the kill, they're very fine with it just forcing the purification and look for it later on. We have 90 seconds remaining on the purification for Suntouch. Now, that's going to be very dependent on how Callus looks for the belly flop or iceicebabyy. If Suntouch is playing too far back, you have to worry about that Anvil of Dawn.
Very true indeed. And you can actually see what's happening here between everybody in terms of the game. Dignitas, you can see ShadowNightmare in the mid lane actually sold one of his items that he started off with here to try and escalate his build a little bit quicker. This is like desperation stage almost for Dignitas. when you see starter items and things like that being sold just to try and finish those more important items.
Which is why we saw that Fire Giant play wanting to try to get back into this game. The Rama Snipe sees it, but ShadowNightmare out of position, going to get dove on by Iceice and Wlfy.
I mean, he was trying to look for the Gold Fury here to see what was being done, and it was, and because of that, he gets isolated. Now Suntouch also going to fall down to Wlfy as well, who gets credited for another kill. They're 3, 1, and 9 on this Raijin so far. Highest player damage in the game.
And Cyclone, they don't give anything back in return. Iceice did not want to land onto Suntouch, exposing himself to a possible return kill, instead electing to ultimate further away. And now coming back from the base, they're still not content with going for fire. They want to establish a bigger goal lead.
This is a really good performance from Cyclone. Honestly, you can't take anything away from them with this performance. It's been very tactical and clinical in their performance here. So that the last couple of days, but for such a new team to the Pro League, some of these members, most of these members being rookies, this is a very, very good game.
Sometimes you have to ask yourself, not how do you win, but how do you not lose? And CycloneGG not starting the fire is preventing them from losing.
Well, VoteNBK forces a Purify away there from FrostiaK, and FrostiaK goes down. Ducky, though, going to get a good ultimate off, but he only focuses on Deathwalker. VoteNBK gets meditated there. No escape from BigManTingz. Going to pull in nobody from that one, but iceicebabyy in a bit of trouble. Can't hammer away because of the chain, so forced to ult. Every member of Cyclone nearly got out, I should say, because the detonate came through from
But
Zeus.
they got what they came for, which was the mid-Phoenix. Dignitas on the warpath, wanting to find somebody out. Wlfy still having Thunder Crash wall, not quite there, but either way, the Thunder Crash was available. And Dignitas, even if they start this Fire Giant, this is risky because Wlfy is around the corner.
Yeah, Wlfy's going to have to deal with the whole team on his own pretty much here. He does have Callus with him, and obviously the 2 damage dealers still in base on the way back. So they're going to tier 1 tower in mid lane here. Dignitas and Wlfy trying to defend it. Could get him sort of caught out of position. Luckily enough, Ducky missing the freeze.
He was thinking about engaging. It was going to be a 2-on-2 mid. Didn't spot out Ducky on the side. The ultimate from Wlfy is available, and there's no sanctuary from ShadowNightmare.
They're looking at ShadowNightmare, and you're completely correct. 3 times good night, Shadow. Callus credited with a kill, but it was all set up by Wlfy.
Recognizing yet again there's no relics available onto ShadowNightmare. Wlfy very aggressive, having no fear. Tier 1 tower for the mid-mage of Dignitas, and now Cyclone, they could start this Fire Giant. There's still 40 seconds remaining on the Zeus.
Yeah, quite comfortable for them to do as well. They just continue to farm up and then look for it, maybe try and bait 1 or 2 in, and that's why Suntouch is over here now. Has this Rama Snipes, so could look to steal it away. Does more damage the lower the target is in terms of the 3rd hit anyway. But Deathwalker going to go straight in there, find out how many's around. See, there's 4, and then head back to home.
Have to be careful though, because it was only 2 members from Cyclone against 4, and the Thor, the Raijin, the Bacchus wasn't quite there. I like this play though, forcing out the Fire Giant, trying to force a 5-on-4.
And here it is, the 5-on-4, going to happen very soon. But now Callus going to get a stun onto 2 targets. Icebaby around the side on the Thor as well, but this Fire Giant slowly being chipped away at. Callus is still here, but Ducky's showing his face, which is giving vision for a lot of people. And here's the engage.
And now with this ultimate from Ducky, he's a sitting duck, and Wlfy going to Thunder Crash in. BigManTingz not on the Marcus, iceicebabyy in the back. FrostiaK, however, trying to escape, but he's pinned against the obelisk.
And the Fire Giant did go the way of Cyclone while all that was going on. No escape from BigManTingz used here. Going to pull into, give Suntouch a respite moment to try and get some more damage off. But rooted and hit by the wall as well from Icebaby is allowing Cyclone to become another kill. Only 2 members remain for Dignitas.
The meditate preventing a huge area of effect damage from ShadowNightmare, trying to hold on to this tier 2 tower. Now, without that important ultimate, this right side Phoenix definitely going to get pressure. 3 members dead on the side of Dignitas.
I've got Dignitas as being a top 4 team in Europe right now, but Cyclone, well, they're actually hedging their bets to try and push into that list as well with how this game's going. Deathwalker and Callus going to tank this one up from the forefront. The rest of the team following him with Fire Giant. Won't take long for this Phoenix to fall with that extra damage because of it.
And the fire minions from the mid lane are going to start flooding into the Titan, so having to defend that. There's still a tier 2 tower on the left-hand side for Dignitas, so Cyclone, they're still having to back. They have a lot of gold in hand. We see in the chart 2,000 on the store.
I'm looking at builds coming out as well. You see Raijin is there for ShadowNightmare now after selling more items. At the same time, Suntouch is starting to get some crit online, and you've got to be a little bit careful of Suntouch, but if they can keep locking him down like they have been, and actually keeping ShadowNightmare and Suntouch on rotations of being alive or dead, it makes it very easy to deal with this team.
The gold is just too much in Cyclone's favor at the moment. Only 4 completed items for BigManTingz. He's a very squishy target. They don't even have to commit that many ultimates or anything on the side of Cyclone just to get this 1 Guardian kill.
I'm looking at player damage here, and it doesn't feel like FrostiaK had a very good game here. Had a bit of a difficulty on this Fenrir this time round. Does it come down to just not ganking, or has he just not had the opportunity here, Tony?
It just seems that he wasn't able to synergize with the Zeus as well as he could have liked to. It also came down to a little bit of the aggressive play from Thor and Raijin, invading those back right of Harpies early on. That was their only play out of Dignitas.
That's true.
And then they never really capitalized with that 2-on-2.
And that one fight on the right-hand side near the fire element was just swung the game into Cyclone's favor from that moment on. Cyclone really haven't let up. They've controlled their game at what they want to do with it more than anything else. And now looking for the very last Phoenix of the game.
Mid Phoenix has respawned for Dignitas, having to make sure there's no fire minions, but iceicebabyy into the sky wants to look for BigManTingz.
No hanging around there, straight down, and BigManTingz is big man gone. Now on top of that, FrostiaK goes to the back line, but forced out one more time. Wlfy credit for the kill with the ultimate. iceicebabyy looking for the double tap, going to find it on Suntouch. Only needed the single. Now they'll clean up Deathwalker. We'll get ShadowNightmare too, and one by one, Dignitas fall. Cyclones will take game one.
They had to try to do something to defend that left side Phoenix, but iceicebabyy was the one putting the pressure. We know that Ares is so low. We saw his items just not being there quite yet, and it's in response, CycloneGG taking him out.
Yeah, Cyclone just made Dignitas look very standard there. They didn't make Dignitas look anything special
Just
whatsoever.
patience.
Yeah.
It's all about the patience. CycloneGG, very methodical about every little action, every little objective that they were taking from Dignitas.
I love them to watch about that back and see what they did right and even improve on what they missed out on the opportunities in that, because that is a dangerous team by the looks of it from game one.
It was just an overall standard composition, very safe and standard play, coming from a new team, more importantly. Sometimes these newer teams from Challenger Cup, they feel like, okay, what do we do? Do we do something crazy in shenanigans-wise?
Yep.
Do we play like assassins in the solo lane, hunters in the solo lane? Do we go for these invades? No, we're just going to play standard and win.
And that's what we wait out from game one, though. Game two, do you expect a different story here? Do you want to see any different picks or bans? Was there anything wrong with compositions here?
Well, it's interesting because Cyclone, they first picked on her, which probably threw Dignitas for a loop. They had no idea what to do afterwards. They elected to take Ymir away from Deathwalker, but it didn't matter because he still has a really solid Robin play.
Do you want to see Kronos or Freya this time for Suntouch? Or you think he's still okay with the Robin?
Well, he did get soloed by the On Her from VoteNBK, which was really impressive in general because we don't normally see that very often nowadays in the Hunters to have that 1v1 duel. So maybe it is a Mage Hunter thing where you want to find that power spike with, like, let's say a Fatalis on the Freya, but I didn't see the Rama do much.
Well, let's go back through that game a little bit and we can see one of the replays from that. Thor had a very good game. iceicebabyy was involved in that, had a very good game for himself. And I think he controlled the pace of the game. He even initiated that very first combat between Ducky and here's the Wlfy fight.
And this is the fight where we saw Ducky, he was just sitting duck to allow the rest of CycloneGG to find the kill. And this is the patience out of not just Cyclone, but iceicebabyy.
Yeah.
He was waiting till the last second.
And he held that just to make sure he can pick up the kill. I like the fact that they're doing shot calls and splitting it up a little bit. And this fight continued after that, and this is where he finds two more, I believe.
And Cyclone was just able to capitalize on their positioning. Dignitas were a little behind experience, not that much gold at this point. Playing off of their advantage, they committed so hard onto Kalos every single team fight Dignitas that there wasn't much counter fight once Cyclone re-engaged.
It's weird, we've not seen Thor in a little while because we've seen all the rise of Ao Kwang and the Susanos and then all of a sudden, and Nemesis, and now all of a sudden Thor's coming back and playing with a vengeance.
Even Arlong Shen sometimes have been played in the jungle, and now Thor, you can never count out Thor. He just has too much flexibility. He can play aggressively by committing to the teleport on the hammer, or he could just max it out and look for poke and then wait for the second round.
Well, game two.